Okay, let me wrap my head around this. You've got one compressor plugin that contains emulations of 4 classic analog compressors, all in serial. You can tweak them, you can change the order, you can blend in the nuances of any of them, and it's got deep tweakability. This is something I gotta see. If you want to check out what might just be the most unique compressor plugin on the market, then join me for this episode of I Don't Have a Band right now. Welcome to episode 31 of I Don't Have a Band. Hey there, I'm Dan, the self-proclaimed Lonely Rocker, and I'm back with another review from my good friends at United Plugins. Only forming in 2019, United Plugins has been killing it with a string of really useful plugins, and this new one is no exception. FirePresser from the FireSonic team is without question the most unique compressor plugin I've ever seen. The idea is that it takes emulations of 4 classic compressors and presents them in serial, allowing you to blend the nuances of each compressor, isolating one, or creating sounds by combining all 4. Now, if you're new to my channel, the products that I feature here, whether I've been granted a license or I've discovered it on my own, I only feature products that I find useful. The time and effort that I put into my videos, I just don't want to waste my time on something that I'm just not going to use. I should probably do a video on all the products that I rejected, because believe me, I've rejected a lot of them. Now, the plugin market has become super saturated, no pun intended. There's just been a lot of emerging plugin developers on the market trying to compete with the big boys. But many of them are offering up variations of the same thing, the same channel strips and the same compressors. Anyways, I've built trust with United Plugins, and they do send me products ahead of launch with no obligation to feature them here. But so far, they haven't disappointed me. FirePresser is truly a unique experience. The idea that it takes 4 different compressors and allows you to blend them any way you want. You can lean on one, you can blend all 4, and there's deep tweakability to really come up with a really unique sound. If you're in the market for more than one compressor, and as we know, compressors have different functions, whether you're using it on a track or on a drum bus or a master bus, this plugin gives you 4 different compressors on their own, giving you a lot of different uses, but in the spirit of tweaking and coming up with something unique, you can create some really interesting blends and come up with some really unique tones. It has a very complex algorithm, but it's easy on the brain because the UI is extremely easy to follow. I believe a compressor is a really personal thing because, to really understand what a compressor does, you got to have your hands on it. It's one thing to hear a before and after, but you want to feel how it interacts with your tracks, and that's always the best way to audition a plugin, especially a compressor. United Plugins does offer 15-day free trials on all of their plugins, so with this one specifically, I highly recommend you get your hands on it and just give it a try. You got 2 weeks to check it out, but if you really like what it does, you can pick up a license and add it to your toolbox. Well, the best way to see what a plugin does is to jump on the box and take a look at it. So why don't we jump in and take a listen to FirePresser from United Plugins. Okay, let's start out by reviewing the different functions of the plugin. By the way, United Plugins describes FirePresser as an advanced serial multi-compressor. This means the idea is this compressor can be used in any situation where compression is required. If you've used any other plugins from the FireSonic team, like FireCobra or FireMaster, then you will immediately feel comfortable with the layout of the UI. The large input and output sliders sit in their usual spots on the left and right. You've got your presets at the top and the ability to A/B 2 settings. And down on the bottom, you've got the dry-wet knob that allows you to blend in as little or as much of the affected signal as you like. This is super handy with a compressor if you're trying to create parallel compression effects. The center section is the heart of the plugin. You've got your 4 compressors all color-coded. Stress, I assume, is a distressor, Vermu being a variable gain tube compressor, much like United Plugins' Royal compressor. A 76, I think that's obvious, and DB160 is clearly modeled after a DBX 160. The rainbow pad allows you to move the white dot around to create unique blends of the 4 compressors. So if you only want one compressor to be triggered, you slide the white dot to the related extreme corner. Or you move it around the grid to find a nice blend of the 4 compressors. The values of the compressors are controlled as one unit in the detector section, where you have standard compression controls like attack and release, plus you have handy high-cut and low-pass filters. To give you an idea on the differences of the 4 compressors and different blends, I'll apply a drum bus preset on a drum track, and then slide around so you can hear the differences. You really need to understand what compressors do to catch some of the nuances, but you'll often hear the most obvious differences in how the kick drum reacts and the higher frequencies of the kit. Let's take a listen. I'll do the same thing for a bass guitar. Using one of the bass presets, I'll give you a before and after on an optimal setting, and then I'll slide around the rainbow pad so you can hear how each compressor reacts. That's really cool. If you're new to compressors, this can actually help you understand the characteristics of different types of compressors. You can hear how saturated the 76 can get, while the DB160 is much smoother and more transparent. Very cool. The turbo knob lets you dial in more intense compression effects by increasing the input gain and compression levels simultaneously, and you can introduce analog style saturation and color with the saturation knob. Lastly, let's take a quick listen to FirePresser as a master bus compressor. Typically, you'd lean to the 76 or maybe the Verimut to do most of the heavy lifting, but let's slide around and see how the different compressors react on the master bus. That's pretty much it. It's a really simple plugin to use, and you've got a ton of options here. And you'll find FirePresser works great on virtually any instrument or vocals, and as I've showed you on the master bus as well. This is a really versatile tool. I'm at a point now with mixing that I'm using less plugins. I've said this before in other videos. When I first got started, I thought I needed more and more plugins to make my mixes sound better, but as I get better, I find I use less and less, and I do lean on plugins that offer me a lot of options. This certainly falls in that category where you've got 4 compressors built into one plugin. You're not obligated to mix them. You can lean on one or another, or you can find interesting blends, and that gives you a lot of different options and opportunities to use it throughout your projects. And I find it not heavy on the CPU, so that really is a plus as well. Gotta hand it to United Plugins. In a really saturated marketplace, they're coming out with some really unique ideas, and it makes it exciting. It's not just another plugin. It's something worth checking out. Something like this, you really do need to get your hands on it to see what it does and see how it feels. So I highly recommend that you do that. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you do check it out, please let me know in the comments. Please throw me a like, a subscribe to support this channel. I'm also on Patreon if you want to follow me there. All the links to all that information is in the description below. And again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I do hope to see you on the next one. As always, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And please like, subscribe, and ring that bell to stay up to date. Remember, you don't need a band to rock and roll. There are a lot of great musical projects you can do by yourself, right from your own home. I hope to see you again next time.